Bada bang, bada boom. Asa, you need to change your name, by the way.
Oh,
You are not Asa.
I'm
You
not Asa?
you are
Oh,
you
man.
are Eridu Samaria.
No, that's unfortunate.
Hey, welcome everyone. It's a Tuesday afternoon, and I don't know about y'all, but it's been kind of a hectic time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
So
it's been a hectic morning.
it's been crazy, a hectic couple of weeks, hectic day, but we're here and it's time for everyone to take a little chill pill and get some Dungeons and Dragons going on.
You
So,
know,
Is that what we're doing?
Yeah. Eridu is missing a single letter vowel in his name. I need to find a way to put an O in there.
sure.
I failed.
And sometimes Y. Don't put Y in there. Don't do that.
No. No. I guess I could have spelled Simaria with a Y.
No, that's
SY.
stupid. Stupid.
It's a bad idea, Asa.
Stupid. Don't do it.
If
Er,
anyone in the chat has any idea what that is about, let us know, and we'll see if you get the joke. Because I completely understand everything that's just happened.
uh, I'm just making a comment on my character's name
For
and the
sure.
fact that there are lots of vowels in there.
For
But
sure.
I don't know if it's maybe a thing that you don't have there in the UK, but A E I O U and sometimes Y are the vowels that we learn here. But you crazy Brits have the Z, so you know.
Yeah, we have a completely different language system, alphabet.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
know.
crazy
It's
over here.
crazy. It's
It's
crazy.
true. One letter difference, and it's just insane. Okay,
Oh
we're
yeah,
done.
we're
D and
done.
D.
D and D.
Ace is gonna shut up now.
Eridu Samaria is gonna shut up now. And so yeah, welcome to Dungeons and Dragons time. This is the Roll for Mischief crew, minus one member today. Josh is not feeling too hot, so he is gonna take it easy, take a rest. And don't worry, I got plans for Theala. I got ideas. I got plans. Don't even worry about it. So yeah, so this is gonna be episode 10. I have decided to name this one "Minutes to Midnight," kind of like a reference to
Oh
the
man,
yeah
mine
the
was gonna be really similar to that.
really. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I
Well,
wanted to play with the Doomsday Clock
Doomsday
idea
Clock,
as
dude. No,
well.
that's my idea, Asa.
Oh, we're gonna fight over it.
Great minds think alike, and I am DMing before Asa, so I get the right to steal his name that he wanted to do.
That's okay.
Yeah,
I'll think of
that's all
something
right.
better.
You'll think of something better. I know. I know. So yeah, this is gonna be episode 10, Minutes to Midnight. We don't really have the intro sequence ready. We don't really have a lot of things perfectly together right now. And I also want to take a moment to apologize that even though I'm taking over being the dungeon master, it's going to be a little spotty for me to keep this going like consistently because I am in a point where I'm trying to move out of my house. Excuse me. Trying to move out of my house at the end of the month, trying to take a road trip next week with my lady friend, trying to do like a lot of things, but I'm going to do my best to keep this rolling, to keep this as coherent and consistent as I can throughout that whole process. So, yeah, that's what I had to say right there. Do you guys have any other announcements or anything that you want to say before we like really get rolling here?
Um, yeah. Check out the social medias. I have been on top of that. In case you can't tell, today has been all about saying what you don't mean. And as Drew understands all the jokes, I have been on top of all the social media, which means really I haven't. I haven't done
Mhm.
shit. But check it out anyway. I will try to be better. Um, I also have a very chaotic life. Uh, but that's what happens when you have four kids.
That's what happens.
But thank you for being here. We love it. We love your constant viewership. It's great. We appreciate you. Let's roll some dice.
Let's roll
What
some
you got going
dice.
on, Drew?
That's absolutely right, Asa. We like it when you watch.
Hey now. I mean, it's true.
For certain.
But hey now.
Yes. Sorry, this is a completely PG stream.
So PG. So PG.
Yeah. But yeah, updates. Nope. Can't think of anything going on this end. Oh, yes. If anyone does like just a fully personal plug thing, someone local to me was starting up a Game of Thrones based online role playing game, and they got inundated with work and asked if I would take over. Now we currently
Nice.
have 3 players for that. It's not going to be live streamed. It's just going to be like a private game thing. But if anyone is interested, get in touch with us. Get in touch with me. You can email me, progm@mastersgaming.com. Just approach me on any social media thing. I'll get in touch with anyone, and the message will get through to me. And I mean anyone. Like email your grandma, and she'll be able to put you through to me. But yeah, just join in if you want to like rewrite Westerosi history. We're gonna basically go with what happens in the first season of the show, first book, and change things from there.
So essentially, you guys are going to go in and you're going to give it a better ending.
Yep. I mean,
As
that's how
not
I
a Game
felt.
of Thrones watcher, I have seen all of the complaints about the end of the 8th season.
Dude, I'm in it for the memes. That's me. In it for the memes.
On an off note, I started watching Good Omens yesterday. The day before yesterday, I actually was very upset because I didn't get to watch it yesterday because I was doing real life stuff. And I didn't
I
get to
just
have
started
my...
that 2 days ago, and I finished it today.
Wow.
I just watched the first episode. So good. David Tennant, love to see you in a brilliant role again.
Simon Pegg too.
No.
Oh, wait.
Michael... What is his last
Sheen.
name? No. Sheen?
It kind of
Yep.
looked like Simon.
Is that
Pegg.
it?
Never mind.
Yep, it is Michael Sheen. It's the same guy from Tron Legacy.
That's his name?
Interesting.
That threw me off because it's like I think of Martin Sheen. I was like,
Yeah.
that doesn't sound right. Oh yeah. So he is hilarious. David Tennant is brilliant. I love the Hellhound. It was super cool. I
Yeah.
read the book. I love Terry Pratchett. I love Neil Gaiman. I would love to run a D&D game, just like in an amalgamation of a Neil Gaiman world. Just take all the things from like the Graveyard Book and Good Omens and American Gods, and just kind of like throw them all together, Coraline, into a world that exists that kind of like has all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it'd be so good, so much fun. Anyway, nerdgasm
Anyway.
aside, let's start playing.
Let's start playing. Okay, so essentially, we're gonna go through. This is gonna be very obviously just opening kind of exposition kind of session. Depending on what happens, we may not even try and go for the full amount of time because I do want Josh to get thrown into this at some point, you know. But we are going to pick up. There's going to be a little bit of downtime, but not immediately. We're going to pick up more or less where the last episode ended. So just a quick little recap of what happened during Drew's episode, which would be episode 9, called Red Sky, is that Egner, Fiala, and Eridu all went to this frozen northern or southern island. We haven't quite figured it out yet. But this very, very remote island because
It was far north. We decided that would work.
Yeah,
Even
I
though
can
I
agree.
bitched about it, we decided it would work.
I can agree. So they went to this remote island because they got some intelligence that suggested there was going to be a secret weapons test happening, and they were going to try and do something about that. And when they got there, they found the situation was that the Azamar and the elves have taken their mechanical dragon idea that the characters learned about a long time ago. They have taken that whole idea and that whole thing, and they are actually trying to test this super weapon out on the island. And opposed to them are all these dwarves that are getting the Warforged online and trying to take those super weapons and like test those, and like there's a huge conflict brewing that we more or less got in the middle of. And there was a crazy white dragon that came in and like messed up the mechanical dragon, and all this crazy stuff
White
happened.
dragons, am I right?
I know, right? Also, some other notable things included our characters getting a fat treasure trove of loot that I just remembered that I don't know if we actually talked about what kind of loot was involved in there.
We did
but
not.
We did
but
not.
but we can talk about that later. The other thing is
That could
that
be a time filler.
it could be a time filler. Our characters also met up with both On and Alton, two previous player characters that went rogue, or more like changed sides. And Egner had a really intense conversation with the two of them to try and convince them of the goodness in Eridu's heart, and trying to convince them that this path that they've chosen is ultimately the wrong path. He said a lot of heavy things, such as like, yeah, yes, I mean, such as you're on the wrong side of this war, and history will not remember you kindly for this, and all this heavy shit. And more or less at the end of it, I mean, yeah, can we talk really quick? Just like we kind of glossed over some of the ending part a little bit,
Hmm.
but essentially,
Yeah, we did. But that would be cool to.
yeah, I just want to kind of like just weave that last bit into this bit.
Okay.
So essentially, we're gonna start with your characters going back to the ship, you know, and for right now, I'll go ahead and be Egner because Egner's right there. And I just
Mhm.
want this moment for the characters to try and like grapple with, or like process, like all this stuff that just happened on the island, you know. So you all find the ship. It is moored at more or less the same spot that y'all had gotten dropped off at, and the Dragonborn, who is the captain of the ship, was his name? It wasn't Siskar.
Siskar.
Siskar. That was it. I knew it.
Yeah.
I knew it. Siskar regards you all with a cool look, and he just says, "About
She.
God's." Oh, is it she? Really? Wait, what?
Can you tell the difference?
God, stop screwing with me, Asa. I'm
Siskar
like
is a
tired.
she. She's
Really?
always been a she.
Really?
You just never do because you don't know Dragonborn.
You are tripping me out right now. Okay.
All right. Siskar has always been a she.
Are you messing with me, or is this like real?
No, this is real. So
Okay.
when I created Siskar,
Okay.
it was always my intention that Siskar was a she because I wanted to illustrate the idea that there is no obvious gender difference visible to non-Dragonborn.
Okay.
Uh,
Oh.
Dragonborn do not have breasts. I want to make
Well,
that absolutely clear. when
yeah. I mean, duh.
Okay.
I mean,
But
duh.
no, it was one of those very thoughtful moments I had where I was like, I want to. I mean, how often do you look at a reptile and just go, that reptile has feminine or masculine qualities?
I mean, you don't really, but
Exactly.
so
But we do
yeah.
it with mammals. We do. We look at
Yeah.
certain animals and we give them feminine or masculine qualities,
Hmm.
but we don't do it with reptiles because they are so much more alien to the way that they are biologically set up and the way that our minds process that information. So because of that,
Makes
I
sense for
wanted to
Dragonborn,
have
yeah.
Siskar be a female,
Okay.
but she still has a deep voice. She
Okay.
still has a lot of masculine qualities because those are just inherent in being part dragon.
Okay. Well, that's
So-
all. That's all I needed to know. I just need to
You
know
can-
I just need to know the proper pronouns, and everything's chill.
You can still call her a he
No.
for the sake of
No,
in-game.
no. Gonna call Siskar a she. It's gonna be
As we should.
as I should. Exactly.
She's
So-
very sensitive.
She's very sensitive. So she looks at you all with a icy cold glare and just says, "It's about God's damn time you all made it. If y'all weren't here tomorrow, I would have left, and you would all been stuck here on this frozen rock."
We know. We came across a bit of adversity, but we were able to make it through. And thankfully, in time to go home.
Hmm.
I think we should be on our way, though, sooner rather than later.
All right. Very well. We'll be off then. And then, so Theala, Agner, and, yeah, I forgot Halifax is not necessarily here at the moment, but we'll get there. We'll get there. Theala, Agner, Eridu all pile onto the boat. Siskar barks some orders, and tally forth. You are all headed south. Um, Eridu, I'm not going to make you roll a perception check or insight check for this, but as you look over at Egner, he has got he's sitting down with his shoulders hunched over and he's staring down at the ground and his eyes are just like completely like glazed over. It just looks like he's not even like in this world right now.
And because I am a good player who picks up on GM threads and rolls with them, Eridu goes fishing. No, Eridu, after having procured some alcohol from below, he'll come over with a. It's not anything great. It's just whatever these kobolds could manage to make together, and it's
Oh, right, it is kobolds. Good call.
to Eridu's taste, it's definitely unrefined. But he brings Agner and him a mug. They're both very like steaming,
Mm-hmm.
and he sets it down next to Agner and sits down and says, "I have brought you a warm beverage. I feel it's the right thing to help to soothe whatever is bothering you."
There is a moment of silence, and you start to feel as if Agner didn't even hear you at all. And then there's a shake of the head, and his eyes just kind of go wild and kind of snap around for a second, and then he looks over at you, his eyes still wild, and he just says, "Ah, um, thank you, my friend. Yeah, I need that."
Yes,
And he just downs the whole thing in one go and goes,
maybe pace yourself a little.
is there more?
I'm sure there's quite a bit. Most
Okay.
of these kobolds do not seem sober.
True enough. I hope they can make the journey just fine.
It would be a miracle.
Look, Eridu, what the hell happened out there? What did we do? Did we do did we do anything? Did we do anything of worth?
I believe we have made ourselves war criminals.
I suppose. How did how did you feel about seeing On and Alton?
It was not what I had hoped. I fear that our friends have changed.
I did what I could to change them back. I did everything I could.
Yes. Well, it seems changing back, or from who. Let me try to word this right. It seems once you learn a thing, once you grow, once you make a change, going back to who you were is almost impossible.
Mm.
And sometimes the call to who you were is more than we can bear.
Suppose everyone can empathize with that at least a little bit.
Among all these things, you seem to have found a faith again, Ragnar. This is a good thing.
Thank you. I feel good about it too. It's I I've been so skeptical. I've been so cynical. After the event, after all the tragedy, after I lost my faith, I just thought there was nothing out there anymore. I felt numb to it, dead to that side of myself. But what I've experienced through Yarana, it's been unlike anything else I've ever felt.
Hmm. This is interesting, because I myself have come to similar conclusions. Eridy's not looking at Egner now. He's just, yeah, his vision is just taking in the ocean as they pass through, past or move past icebergs, and I also feel that there is nothing but what we make. And the gods, if they exist, may well be trying to guide us in a way, but we take what is valuable from them and we discard the rest.
Hmm.
And always ask, is it enough? Are we doing the right thing?
It's a constant battle, Eridu. It's a constant battle.
I will be very relieved to see Halifax and to see home again.
I wish I could see it, but I will be happy to be there.
Eridu puts a hand on Agner's chest and says, you can still feel it.
Mm,
Home hasn't changed.
no. Eridu sees a bit of moisture collecting in Egner's corner of his eye, in the corner of Egner's eye. And Egner, he kind of clears his throat, kind of like toughens up a little bit, like, ah, Eridu, excuse me for a moment. And he gets up and he walks over to where Theala has been. She's kind of standing on the back of the boat, looking back at the island as the boat is pulling farther and farther away. She's just been staring off into the distance, pensively looking at the island. And Agner goes over and begins a hushed conversation with Theala. And yeah, and we can go ahead and fast forward a bit. Like, I'm not too worried about like the exact amount of time that it would take for the ship to get back, but it's over the course of days. At least like
It took us
four.
a month to get there, didn't it?
Wait, what? No, I think you're thinking of something else. You're thinking of another one of Drew's adventures where it took like a month for us to get where we're going.
I just thought it took a long time. So
Do you remember?
Off the top of my head.
Okay. Well, it's
And
about
amount
took a
of
while.
time.
it's an amount of time that's roughly the same amount of time that Drew said at the beginning of his episode.
An amount of time.
An
later.
amount of time. And yeah, it's like your characters can only do so much downtime activities on a boat, but you're doing what you can. As you get closer to Earden, and by extension, get closer to Twin Harbor, there is actually a an interesting thing that happens where a big old bad albatross comes swooping down on the ship. Like, it's to this point where you guys are like, you can see Earden cresting on the horizon. You're getting closer. It's like the sun is rising. You're getting all this like hope and everything. And then this big albatross comes flying in from the direction of Earden, and it plops itself on the side of the boat right in front of Eridu. And the albatross opens its mouth, and Hilofax's voice starts speaking out of the albatross. And
Mhm.
it's like Eridu may have encountered this kind of magic before, but it's just like a very simple um, communication kind of spell where you just have a short sentence that you magically kind of like encode into this animal who
Almost like you sent me a message.
almost like he sent you a text message, but it's like through an albatross. It's bird mail, or I don't know, however you want to say it,
However, we would like
however
to
you would like
explain.
to. But but Hilofax's voice speaks out of this albatross's mouth and says something akin to, "It's not safe to dock in Twin Harbor. You must go east." And he tells you the name of a town that has a small dock that would be a safer place to
Okay.
go. And the last thing he says is, "Meet at Bronzewood Grove."
Okay. So I'll go to Siskar and inform her that docking in Cold Harbor or Twin Harbor is ill-advisable.
Siskar was there to see
Oh, she
see
heard
the
the message.
albatross,
Okay.
but yeah, but Siskar will turn to you and just say, like, "Now, tell me again why I should trust some bird-brained albatross over myself and my own intuition. God's damn it."
What are your
Shouldn't that
intuitions?
Halifax guy is dodgy?
What do your intuitions tell you?
My intuitions tell me that we need to be in a proper port, not some backwater little rusted wooden pier. Ah,
Well, let me challenge you with this. What is the worst that can happen if we land in a backwater pier, as opposed to the worst that can happen at Twin Harbors? A place that has a standing militia and has the paladins of the Free Kingdoms currently having some measure of authority there.
hmm.
We haven't given you full details, but the things that we have done on that island could put many of us at risk. It is probably best that we heed the Albatross, considering that its source has been in Twin Harbors this entire time.
Hmm.
Leave not.
All right. I don't like it, but I'm dropping you off where I'm dropping you off, and then me and my crew, we're doing our thing.
That sounds fair. Do what you think is best and what keeps you safe, but we would appreciate the drop off at the aforementioned port.
Very well. And at that, Siskar turns to the kobolds around her and just yells, barks even more orders, and the kobolds go yip 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 yip, yip, and they start messing with the rigging, changing the direction of the sails, and then the ship goes changes course, and you are going a little further. Just because I have the map, I wanna pull it up. Oh yeah, I keep forgetting that Twin Harbor is in a different place. So this is like a pretty significant journey because you guys got to go like south and kind of. All right, we're getting it. We're getting it.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
definitely lengthy.
it was a lengthy one. It was a lengthy one. So I'm gonna say that you guys came south. Like maybe this island is the one that's like north of Jor and Baston, and it's like that. Yeah, it's just the like on that whole Arctic line up there.
Hmm.
So I think it's the tiny one right there. Maybe we'll call it that. So you guys went south, like between Jor and Baston, like kind of close to Tel Aviv, and you're landing on the right claw-looking thing, like east of Twin Harbor.
All right.
You're kind of over there, and
Yeah.
Sounds
definitely. So y'all get dropped off, and Egner this whole time, um, even through like the Albatross message and all of that, he has been meditating. It kind of looks that way. Kind of looks that way.
okay.
He's never really been one for meditation, and with this it looks a little more painful almost. It's like he doesn't look very calm. His eyes are closed, and like there's a lot of like his eyes are like kind of screwed shut a little bit. His brow is furrowed, but he's not making any painful noises or anything like that. But he's spending much of the journey in this kind of meditative state. And you guys land. Siskar gives you one more big old jug of that kobold rotgut that Eridu was taking such a liking to, and bids you adieu. It's
Sounds good.
it's been a pleasure. If you need us again, perhaps call us or maybe don't. I think we're
You
going.
have,
Yeah.
you have been more than helpful. Thank you.
Mm. If you're ever bleh, if you're ever in Ashika, come hang out. Have a little more of this stuff.
I would like nothing more.
Very well.
If she's got any sense of insight, she might notice that that's not so true.
Yeah.
It's not her. It's the
Yeah.
rock.
Oh, for sure. So she don't mind at all, and the ship is off, dude.
All right.
So you guys are, yeah, pretty much in this just like little backwater town and whatnot, and it looks like a good place to chill. But Egner is of a singular mindset, and he just starts walking confidently through the little pathetic excuse of a main square of a town. He just keeps walking on through, and he looks over his shoulder and just says, "I know the way. I know my way home."
Yes, you do. And I will follow him.
hmm So Theala, Eridu, and Egner, take about another like day's journey. They sleep on the road. Um, they are just kind of like trucking it all as fast as they can back to Bronzewood Grove. And
Halifax isn't with us yet.
no, but Halifax told y'all to meet at Bronzewood
Yes.
Grove, essentially. And yeah, so in the afternoon of the next day, you crest the hills that are east of Twin Harbor, overlooking the city, and you arrive at Bronzewood Grove, where you are greeted by a small collection of the druids who have been hanging out there, and they have gotten very comfortable with their life there. It's like they've taken over as the primary caretakers of the land, and they've really spruced the place up. And they've really like got this very vibrant like garden going on. Uh, yeah, they've just made it pretty legit. Also should be noted that since they've gotten so comfortable and this place is so like removed from everything, they're very comfortable walking around naked. They've got kind of turned it into their own little nudist colony, and they are not perturbed at all by seeing you guys come up, and they just wave like, "Oh, hello, hello. Good to see you all again." Oh, and it should be mentioned that Halifax is there, looking a little uncomfortable.
Eridu, upon seeing the druids unclothed and completely within their natural habitat, um, removes his own robes and greets them warmly. It is a pleasure to be home.
Hmm.
Halifax.
Eridu. I see you got my message.
Indeed, yes. What is happening in the harbors?
Okay, just like little side note. So, essentially, Halifax is all right. Let me put it this way. Halifax knows some shit, but he doesn't want to be the one to tell them, and this is not necessarily the right place. And Halifax's thing is that you all need to meet up with Emily. That's like kind of
Okay.
what he's gonna be saying.
Okay.
A great deal has been happening all over. Twin Harbors, in particular, it might be best if you hear from Emily directly. Um, Part of understanding is in the delivery, and as much as I idolize my bardic heroes, I am no bard.
That's understandable. Is Emily here, or should we find a way back into the harbors?
She's at the Temple of Anesti, the Resistance hideout.
She is still there.
And I'm assuming that we have a plan for getting ourselves in unnoticed.
If we're skillful enough.
All right. Well, I could use a bit of a rest on a proper bed, in a proper place. I'm sure Agner wouldn't mind spending a moment in his home, but
Look,
we can
about
make the journey shortly.
about that, you all are more than welcome to stay here for as long as you need. Bronzewood Grove is my home, but it's your home as much as it is their home. Gesturing to the druids. But I cannot stay at the moment. I've struggled with how to tell you all this, but I must go on a journey? No, that's not the right word. It's a pilgrimage. I have received a vision from Urana herself. I saw her. She spoke to me. She commanded me to do this for her. I will be taking Fiala with me for a short time. She has agreed to help me find my way. But at some point, I must do the rest of the journey on my own. It has been commanded, and I must do this for Urana, who has given me so much.
That is understandable. I've not known you for as long as Eridu has, but I feel that your spiritual growth has been quite the ordeal for you, as much as it has been a blessing.
Yes.
There is something that I wish for you to consider while on your journey,
And
perhaps even before you leave.
What's that?
Could you implement a dress code? Because this situation is quite disquieting.
I know not of what you speak. What are you talking about?
If the druids get a little within the vicinity,
Oh.
I would rather not see everything as nature intended.
Oh, I see. I see. Halifax, about that, you'll just have to talk to them yourself. Or perhaps ask them to at least spend a little more time in their wild shape animal forms or such. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's a lot better with it with fur covering it all, right?
Sometimes, although one of them did develop a taste for turning into a horse and standing near the chill box, just so that his partner could observe the shrinkage. It's been a disturbing amount of time without you all here.
Yes, yes. Look, I'll see what I can do to go speak to them. And he goes over to, I'm blanking on some of the names, but some of the more named characters among the druids. He goes and speaks to them, and they kind of give him this look of like, psh, pff, like like no, like and they eventually start shrugging like, oh, okay.
While this is happening, Eridu steps up and puts an arm around Halifax.
Naked as a
Also
jaybird.
naked as the day he was born. Halifax, there is a beauty in nature, and perhaps it is time that you embraced it.
Mhm. I'm certain that that will be a day that happens at some point. Today is not that day.
Well, we all must start somewhere.
Hmm. Yes. Perhaps I might employ a sleeveless tunic at some point, but until that day, I'll just content myself with my coverings. Thank you.
Eridu gives him a sly smile and, oh, you knave. The things you will do.
Oh, speaking of Eridu, I realized that I may have shocked you with my message, but I was hoping to hear of your journey. I realize Emily sent us both in different directions. What happened with your island journey? I knew nothing else of the mission.
Well, I'll tell you what, since Agnew appears to be on his way out, we might as well leave sooner rather than later. Why don't I tell you along the way?
Hmm. I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Um, so, Eridu will prepare to leave, dress himself in simple clothes, and yeah, as they are walking, and he is in a state that Halifax is more comfortable with,
Hmm.
he'll explain the
Oh,
events of the journey.
oh, well, but before that, I just wanted to make one little, just one little, like, emotional goodbye moment where
Oh, of course.
Egner goes to both of you and he grabs you both in a big, solid, just a big old bear hug, and he just says, "Go with grace. Go with grace." And after he hugs Eridu, he holds him by the shoulders and looks him in the eyes, even though he can't see him in the eyes. But you don't know what Egner's really seeing or whatever. And he's just grabbing Eridu's shoulders, and he says, "Eridu, I know that you worry for me as if I were a brother, but please do not worry. I am with Urana now."
I believe you, and I believe you have found a good place.
Hmm.
You also go with the blessing of your goddess, and find what you are looking for.
Indeed. As a final thing to, I think he'll choose Halifax because Halifax is probably shittier at stealth. But he, as a final little blessing, he'll touch you on the shoulder, Halifax, and you feel the cool, shadowy tendrils of something spreading through your body, and you feel as if you might get advantage on stealth checks for an hour with the blessing of the trickster.
Ooh, my.
So he gives you a little blessing, and all that Fiala says, she's been spending this whole time just like kind of getting into like just business mode. She's been cleaning her guns a lot on the boat ride and everything, and now that she's had a chance to be able to do that kind of thing again, she's just like cleaning out the bore, making sure she's got like plenty of ammo. And then right when Egner's pretty much ready to do the thing, she puts it all together. Click, clack, click, clack, clack, snick, snack, snap. Like whatever it is. And she stands up with the gun, and she just looks at the both of you and just says, "I'll meet up with you later. Don't worry about nothing."
When it comes to you, I never do.
I shall see you, Thiala.
Yeah, I'll be right back, pretty much. And then the two of them are off. They go north. They start walking north.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, I we can be heading out now too, right?
Yeah. Definitely.
As we're walking, I don't know if you Halifax has anything to say about their journey and the things that they had done. But I'm gonna give you a chance to respond. Otherwise, I've got a different thing to. started on.
Oh, you're talking to me?
No, I'm talking to
Oh wait.
Drew.
Oh yeah.
Oh, um, so information about our journey.
Yeah, was there anything? I mean, I'm not gonna recap everything right now that happened during the session you GM'd.
Yeah.
But as Eridu does, is there anything that Halifax questioned, anything super important that we wanted to touch on?
Oh, okay. No, he's just gonna listen. Sorry, I thought you were asking Halifax to expound upon the journey that you're about to take with him.
No,
Um,
this is just him
okay.
telling him about our journey. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he'll just sit there lapping up the descriptions of things and the details of it. He'll be concerned about the interaction with On and Alton, wondering what's happened with that Shaniel guy. But yeah, excited at the idea of dragons and hoping to be with you on the next one.
Well, when that all kind of passes along, there'll be a moment of silence between them, and then Eridu will look up at Halifax and say, "So, Theala is getting to be a bit weird around you. I've never really seen her like this before. What's going on there?"
I'm certain it's nothing of any lasting consequence. Why? She mentioned something to you?
Well, not at all. I wouldn't expect her to. That's why I'm asking you and not her.
Ah, um, well, it's not really a thing for a gentleman to discuss such things. But
So you
uh,
slept together.
I Theala and I.
So you slept together, and now you have emotions for her, but she doesn't reciprocate because she's kind of a cold-hearted fish.
I, I, I resent the tone there, Eridu. No.
I have known Theala for a long time. I would say these things to her face.
Things have become dysfunctional between us since our time in that mindscape prison with Agner. Things have become distorted, uncertain. Um, things that happened in there were not too clear on. And I think that uncertainty is affecting the both of us. We just need some time to organize and sort our feelings.
Eridu kind of
That's you.
stands up a bit straighter and says, "Very well. I want you to understand something. I'm not asking as a friend. As much as I do care about your personal lives, I'm asking from a different perspective. Things are going to get dangerous from here on out. And I need to be able to rely on the both of you. And I would like to know that your personal relationships are not going to interfere with our ability to do the things we must. So if it becomes a problem, or will become a problem, I need you two to figure it out."
Agreed. Yes. It's not something that I've noticed interfering so far, but it's certainly a tricky mire to navigate. I shall endeavor to make sure that our relationship has at least a professional edge.
That is all that I can ask. And that's pretty much all I've got to say on that. So we can go ahead and carry on with other things.
Okay. As you get closer to the city, you are on this path, and you are starting to see the city gates materialize and become larger and larger in your field of view. And it occurs to Halifax that yes, indeed, they had better figure out a way to get into the city sneakily, covertly, perhaps in disguise, perhaps they need to figure out some way of like getting into the city without being identified?
Um, well, oh, I'm sorry. I'm overstepping bounds. This is Halifax to
Well,
share with me.
yeah, yeah. I mean, but it's just something like I'm generally reminding you guys because I did try and like put that whole element of danger. Like, this is the reason. This is like partly the reason why you guys couldn't dock in Twin Harbor.
Right, right.
Yes.
I
Very
have a
good.
role play thing, but yeah, go ahead.
As we are getting closer to our destination, it behooves us to find some sort of disguise, something to conceal the fact of our identities.
Yes. Hmm. Oh, how much time has passed? I don't know if we've gotten our excuse to level up yet.
Oh, I mean, you guys are definitely supposed to be the next level because that's
Mhm.
just the way that we do this with the whole episodes and everything.
Yeah.
You know what I
So,
mean?
um, I had a thing,
Yeah.
but it would require us to stay. Okay.
You
I
can.
was in a cross class and a druid,
Oh yeah. Well,
but that would have required part of that in the role play would have required me to stay with the druids in the grove for a bit longer.
well, you guys can also say that you did that or whatever. Like we can like
With the
mess with
timer a
the
little
whole
bit.
whole timing of it and everything. I mean, you
Yeah.
guys did have a long and difficult journey, and Egner did tell you that you guys could stay there for as long as you wanted.
Okay. So if it's okay to like retroactively go back and say we spent
Yeah.
like a week in the grove and Eridu spent that time taking in the ways of the druids and kind of becoming more in tune with them,
Mm-hmm.
uh, because he really enjoyed being a bear and thought it would be nice if he could turn into more animals.
Baradu.
Unfortunately, wild shape doesn't happen until level 2,
For
but
sure, for sure.
um, I have learned some spells. So
Definitely.
with that, Eridu is going to get. The hell was that, dogs? My dog's made a weird noise. Eridu's gonna get down on the level with like the ground, and he is going to start like kind of looking and moving around the brush and trying to like essentially like
Hmm.
bring animals to him. Which is not necessarily a spell that I have, but I do have speak with animal. And what I was hoping to speak with was some snakes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Go ahead and make a nature check with advantage and all, or yeah. Uh, okay, you have your choice of just making a nature check with advantage, or you can make a nature check that uses your wisdom instead of your intelligence.
Well, um,
However you want to do it.
let me take a look at what would be more beneficial. But it's probably going to be the nature check with advantage, just
Mm-hmm.
because. Yeah, because the bonus is a difference between 1 point.
Oh, okay.
Nature with advantage is a 17.
You get a snake, dude.
All
That's
right.
what you get. It's like just like nothing special. It's like a gardener snake, but it's like a bigger one. But it's like
So
definitely a little harmless guy.
Eridu puts his hand down, and the snake kind of slithers to him and like coils around his wrist, and he brings it up so that their faces are close, and he whispers, in a tune, a language that Halifax would have no way of knowing because he wouldn't know Druidic, and is pretty much asking the snake for information about the areas around the harbors where its weak spaces are, where people of where beings of their size can get in without much interference from
Mm.
the two legs.
The big old two legs, huh?
Yep.
Well, so I'm pulling up the Twin Harbor map, and you guys are going to be coming from the east, and yeah, he'll kind of point you toward this area that's kind of like smack dab in the middle of the where the two eastern gates would be. You got the one that's on the northeast, and you got the one that's like going directly out east. And yeah, there is a section of the wall on that side that yeah is crumbling a little bit. He tells you that that's how they get inside the city and find all the sweet little mices and mouses and rats. And he's the snake you're talking to is very excited about how many rats are in Twin Harbor. You are muted, sir.
Oh, you're correct. I
Yeah.
will. I will say. Would you like to come with us? Perhaps you can find yourself a nice meal to hunt.
Which means yes.
Okay. uh, all right. So I will tell Halifax. There's a place along the wall that is collapsing, and we could probably get in there unnoticed. We're taking this with us. Showing him the snake.
A new friend of yours.
A companion for the time being. Hopefully, when we get inside the city, he can find something to eat.
Is there a way for us to obscure our identities, hide who we are, as well as secretly get access to the inside?
Well, there were wonderful spells that Theala had at her disposal that I do not possess. But I do have a robe, and I can put a hood on. As I've learned from many a video game, if you just stand with priests, nobody asks any questions.
Indeed. I have been conducting my own arcane research for a few days. Perhaps I've learned a few new tricks to help us get out of any binds that we find ourselves in. Let us go where your snake suggests.
Sounds good.
Very well. So you guys are now kind of headed off of the official path, and do a little bit of walking through the undergrowth, the trees that are surrounding the city, and it kind of turns into tall grass as you get closer and closer to the wall. And for this whole kind of going off the path through all this undergrowth, I would like stealth checks.
Okay. I
And-
would, as we're making our way into the wall,
Yeah.
like to put a hand on Halifax's back and cast guidance upon him.
Okay. So Halifax, I'm also going to give you the advantage that what's his butt Agner was able to bless you with. This is pretty
Okay.
much like you're just catching like the very tail end of that blessing, and this is going to be like the one go that you have with it. So
So it's
Guidance
not going to
D4.
be Halifax that messes this up for us. It's going to be me.
yeah,
Is guidance a D4?
it
Guidance
is
is
a
a
D4.
D4. I'll show you why.
Yeah, that's a 1, all right.
So why?
That's a-
Oh
that's a
dear,
one,
I rolled a
alright.
5 and then a 6. But I've got
wow.
a 4 on the D4.
Mhm.
So that's 10 plus my dexterity, which is 3, so that's 13. And am I proficient? No, I'm not.
See, I am
13.
proficient. I have a grand total of 8.
So we got a 13 and we got an 8.
And then if
Okay.
you want to rule that we can critically fumble skill checks, I rolled a critical fumble.
Well, I'm not gonna say it's like a critical fumble, but I mean, like for the purposes of it, it's definitely like a failure. I'm not gonna count it as like, yeah, I'm not gonna count it as like an extra failure necessarily in this case. But so essentially, what
You're
happens?
much nicer than me.
I know. But so essentially, what happens is that you think that you are totally doing it great. You think you're like going past the underbrush and everything, and you're like thinking
I feel
that
like I'm slithering like a snake.
yeah, you feel like you're slithering like a snake, and you got the snake. Then all of a sudden, you hear what can only be the heavy hoof beats of a big old fucking horse. And these hoof beats grow closer and closer. And then before you know it, there's a whinny and a neigh and a and then right behind you there is a essentially one of the city guard of Twin Harbor on his horse. He's all armored. He's got his sword on his hip. He has got a nice looking like chainmail kind of, what do they call it, a coif, just like the headpiece. And yeah, so he's all kind of decked up, and he's looking down at you both disdainfully, and he just says, "Now, what in the hells are you doing this far off of the path?"
I was just suggesting that to my dear friend here. We are far off the path, my friend. I was trying to keep us on the path, and his suggestion was to take us off the path. We'll get right back to the path.
Go ahead and do a deception check, because that is a deception.
Yes,
that's
yes,
what that is.
A deception.
That's
I
what
can
we call in the biz a lie.
Mhm.
I can assist by casting guidance on you. I'm like,
That is a grand total, with deception, of 6.
Nice. So-
everything you said word for word is perfect. That's just as convincing
Oh, nice.
as you should possibly be.
For real. So, at that, the guard just like goes, "Pfft. All right, that's it. Let me see your papers right now."
I'm Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and I gotta find my wording for this. I'm gonna cast Charm Person on him,
Okay.
but I want to figure out what I want to say. Will you go ahead and make the DC? It's a 15. Don't tell me the result yet.
Before you do so, Asa.
Talk it out.
Um,
I'll be right back.
Okay. I mean, I have Hypnotic Gaze, which doesn't take a spell slot.
Oh, I was just thinking along the term of action economy. Like you just did a thing and then he responded, then I figured I would respond. But
Oh, true.
it comes. That's all I was acting on was that. But I also could have done my guidance. Did you roll with guidance when I gave?
I did. I rolled a 1 on the D4, a 4 on the D20, and I got a +2.
I'm okay with, since that can be my action. I'm okay with you doing that, like getting the action for me, since we're still at a level of each of us has taken only one action.
I suppose I'll
These are certain moments where I like to have a bit of an initiative, like not necessarily a strict initiative, but the idea of being aware of a singular action moment.
Yeah, that's quite good. I realise that we're still on stream at the moment, but I recently ran my first game of the Star Wars Fantasy Flight System.
I think I saw that pop up on the Twitch notification.
Yeah, the system, each turn, each round is roughly a minute rather than 6 seconds. The action economy is similar but slightly different. So it's an interesting system. We should go into it at some point.
Yeah, I like the idea of playing with time in action economy. It's always kind of bothered me, especially when you get to the idea of like the absurd running rates that people or moving rates that people can have in D&D, like especially monks.
Mm-hmm.
And you think about, okay, covering 60 feet in 6 seconds.
Hmm.
Like I get 30, yeah, but like 60, 75, that is insane.
Mm-hmm.
On top of which, doing attacks, doing secondary actions, those sorts of things. I've always liked the idea of playing fast and loose with action times. But anyway, back to our game-wise.
So,
yes,
yeah.
you may go ahead and take your action before I do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay. That's what you guys were talking about. Like, can I do
Yeah.
something first? Like, yeah, sure, you could do something first.
We were discussing action economy out of combat and the idea of trying to maintain a fair balance where we each get a chance to act.
Yeah.
And I was just making the point that he was saying I've got this better move in this moment that doesn't take up a spell slot.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was just saying like I'm just thinking on action to action, and like you did a thing, you responded to a thing, and I was gonna respond, but I was also like I cast guidance as part of the response, so we
For
both had a
sure.
single action.
Yeah.
So I was
Yeah, that's a good
allowing
point. That's a
him
good
to make
point.
a choice.
All right.
So my hypnotic gaze
Yeah.
would require him to make a wisdom saving throw,
Mm-hmm.
and so long as I maintain eye contact, he can be charmed by me, and his
Mm-hmm.
speed drops to 0. Um, but he's also like visibly dazed, so if anyone sees it, they know that I'm like sticking him with like a snake eye gaze sort of thing. Um,
All hypnotic and shit.
yeah.
While he's doing that, I'm going to step up to the horse and start like just stroking it and soothing it. Doing an
Okay.
animal handling check.
Oh yeah,
So we
definitely do that one. Definitely
So
do.
my spell save DC is 17 now.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
so wisdom saving throw.
Wow. Okay, hold on a second. I just want to very quickly just double check this part about the enchantment. He's incapacitated and visually dazed and use an action to extend the duration. The effect ends if you move more than 5 feet away from the creature, if the creature can no longer see or hear, if it takes damage. And if once the effect ends, or if they succeed on the initial saving throw, you can't use this feature until you finish a long rest on them again. Okay, wow. Okay, so I rolled the saving throw. Hold on, let me hear the animal handling check first.
It's 15.
Nice, nice. Eridu stroking the mane of the horse just automatically feels like the horse was like tense, as if it's like waiting for a command or waiting for something. And as soon as you start stroking the mane of the horse, you can feel the muscles on the neck and everything start to relax. You know, the horse gives you a nice little nuzzle on your hand, you know, or on your arm. It's like it's a happy horse. And as Halifax affixes his snake-like gaze to the dude, he obviously fails the saving throw and is completely, you know, he looks like he's about to say again, "Let me see your paper." And his jaw just goes slack. A little bit of drool starts like creeping out of his mouth on one side. His eyes go glassy, and yeah, he's just like locked in your gaze and just completely hypnotized.
Tell me, is there any visible means that myself and my friend could adorn ourselves with to avoid being harassed by you and your friends?
The charmer has advantage on any ability check to interact socially with the creature. That's what it says.
Persuasion.
Yeah, so you get advantage on a persuasion check against this fool.
That's 10 plus 2, 12. That's not as groundbreaking as I was hoping.
You gotta get your charisma up there, man.
I know.
Yeah.
My charisma's not terrible. It's not the worst.
13 to 14.
Well, more you gotta get
Or
yourself
thir-
trained
thir-
in some
14, 15.
some social skills.
Yeah,
Yeah.
need some social skills, but that's all right. So, the dude on the horse, he just goes, "Yes. Yes."
Good. Do you happen to have what we might need? A badge, perhaps? A writ?
Saddlebag.
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 Eridu will edge over and rummage through the saddlebag.
You open the saddlebag and you find, essentially, they are these like tabards, more or less. You know, just like a just a covering that you can, you know, it'll have a image on the front, image on the back, and they are this kind of like soft blue with white thread through them, very finely made. And this is like something that guards will wear sometimes, and not just guards too. It's like this kind of like generalized thing where if there's someone who's like doing work for the city or like doing like
It's almost
cleanup
like
over
a
here.
militia's tabard. Like
Yeah,
you're
it's
part of.
almost like a malicious tabard, but
Yeah.
it's also used for like more like civil things, too.
Yeah.
Like picture someone like if they're like working on the side of the on the highway or something, and they've got the
I'm
orange vest. You know what I
I'm kind
mean?
of
And it's like,
picturing when people come out to help police with investigations for missing people, and they're like kind of combing through areas, like just something that they put on to identify themselves as all part of this group.
yeah, yeah, it's essentially that idea. It's like this is something that you see all over the city for various purposes, and it's just mostly the signal of like, hey, I'm doing something for Twin Harbor right now. Don't mess with me. I'm like backed up by Twin Harbor's government and
Cool.
stuff. So yeah, you find
I
a
like
good
that.
yeah, you find like I don't know, two or three of these tabards. They're like it's like a one size fits all kind of thing.
Yeah, I'll grab, pull them out, and got it.
Should we grab another one for Ciala? Should she?
Of course, yes. I'll take the third one out as well.
Saddlebag.
Yes.
And
Thank you.
then, having these things, I will give the horse a firm slap on the butt and go, "Ha!" and send it galloping away. Hopefully.
Okay, yeah. The dude is very much in. He's like kind of strapped in to the to his saddle, very like very solidly. So he doesn't like fall off necessarily, but he definitely gets jolted like as soon as the eye contact breaks with Halifax. He gets jolted out of the charmed state, but he's on a wild galloping horse and all that. And I'm sure Eridu like put just a little bit of that key energy into the slap on the horse's butt to really make it go.
We'll go ahead and say that it was a Kia.
A Kia. Kia.
So yeah,
Yep,
definitely give us time to. I'm imagining like there's like a 2 second moment of him just like lazily
Oh
sort of
yeah.
bouncing on the horse before he sort of shakes himself.
Oh
and then
yeah.
realizes like, oh, I'm in full gallop.
Oh yeah, exactly. And then he's in full gallop, and then he's just like freaking out, and he has this like
Yeah.
momentary like amnesia kind of thing where he doesn't even know like why he's out there for the
Well,
moment.
and by the time he's like gets his horse underway and everything, we've probably had time to dart into like.
Yeah, I was gonna say Halifax. The
Space.
moment he gets out the way, Halifax will be ushering Eridu down an alleyway, just like go, 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 go,
yeah,
go,
yeah,
go,
yeah.
go,
Well, I
go,
mean,
go.
you guys like aren't in the city at this
Well,
point.
yeah.
Yeah, you guys are still
rush into the
outside of the
bushes,
city. You rush into the bushes, exactly. Just like have
throw
another
on our
chance,
tabards.
throw on the tabards, and then you're just like kind of going to that point. So
Yeah.
narrowly avoided some catastrophes right there.
Atrophies.
Atrophies, catastrophes. I don't even know what I'm saying.
We
So-
narrowly avoided some atrophies.
I was preparing to cast a 5th level spell if needed.
Oh my god,
Uh,
which one?
I've just gained access to them, and I decided to learn Modify Memory.
Oh, that's such a sick one. Oh, that one's
Yeah.
so cool. Oh man.
Can I just say that I'm really enjoying the idea that we're both so heavily bought into the idea of like charming and messing with people's
Oh, yeah.
minds.
Oh yeah.
When Egner had such a problem when
Mhm.
On was doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Oh, big time. But now it's funny because Egner's come around to that too. It's like Egner's now got like disguised self, and he's totally cool with like deception and all this shit. Like,
But
Yeah.
there's the big thing he had a problem with On wasn't the deception, it was the taking away the freedom of
Mm.
choice. Like taking like,
yeah.
modifying and messing with someone's mind was a
Mhm.
big no-no for him. And I don't know that anything's happened in the game to really make him question if that is or isn't right. But I'm loving that Eridu was part of that adventure, and
Mm-hmm.
now I have Charm Person as a spell.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys. There are some changes happening in Eridu, and I'm super excited
Big time, dude. It's exciting. It's fun.
Yeah.
about. All
All
right.
right, so where we at? We are
Do we
at
make it to the hole in the wall?
yeah. You guys make it to the wall, and you know you still got the snake with you, and you see now obviously that the snake, you know, it's like it wasn't like he lied to you about the state of the wall because it is kind of crumbly or whatever, but it's more like it has spaces for a snake to go through.
He
You know,
misrepresented the
he
size of the
misrepresented the
gaps.
size because you asked him like, "Are there holes in there?" He's like, "Hell yeah, there are," and I go get the rats. You know what I mean? They're
Yeah,
like
yeah.
big enough for him, not necessarily big enough for you guys.
Hmm.
But it is true. The wall, this section of the wall, is in quite a sorry state, and yeah, and Eridu actually being having spent time in more of like a leadership position in Twin Harbor, right? There was a time where Eridu was doing that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he has been in these meetings where the stonemasons and all these like other like structural engineer type people that work for the city have talked about how there's not enough money for infrastructure. Some of these walls are in such a sorry state; they're about to crumble apart, and Eridu, you see that still has not been taken care of, even though you were in those meetings all the way
Hmm.
back in the day.
I'm gonna look back at Halifax and say, I can't say that I'm surprised. It seems that since Garth has put himself into a position of authority, and he has no care for the infrastructure of this town.
Hmm.
Disappointing.
Things have certainly declined in quality, let's say.
And I feel my companion has misguided us, probably not on his own intention, um, on exactly how large the gaps in the wall were, but I think we can climb this fairly reasonably.
I would imagine so. We have our tabard disguises. We should be able to enter the city and not arouse too much suspicion.
True.
Yes, well, I did my stretches this morning. Should be able to tackle this wall, no problem. Shall now look at the wall and just see how climbable it seems.
How tall is the wall?
How tall is it reasonable to have a wall? I mean,
15, 10, 10 to
10 to,
15?
yeah, I'm going to say 10 to 15. It's not like, you know, Twin Harbor has gone through a lot of changes recently, but it's still not like an enormous, like, castle, like, fortress kind of situation, you know? So I'm going to say, like, 10 feet, pretty, pretty standard, pretty good.
Okay. Uh, Eridu, without much warning, just runs up the wall, just darts up the wall, and then reaches into his bag and pulls out a rope and throws it down and wraps it around his fist a few times and anchors it to something on the wall and says, "This should make it easier for you, Halifax."
Mm-hmm.
My thanks to you, sir. Grab the rope and start
All right.
climbing up it.
Yeah, I could make you roll a check, but no, it's gonna be so easy. I mean, like it's like DC 10, and he's giving you an assist. You're good. You're good. You guys, in your tabards, you make it to the top of the wall, and pretty close to either side of you, there are the various ladders and little platforms and everything that help people get from the ground to the top of the wall for their posts. Do a quick little perception check, the both of you.
Mine
Ooh,
is
natural 20.
nice.
Oh, man.
Mine is a 19
Oh man. Okay.
because
So
of my elven keen senses.
definitely. So you guys crouching on top of the wall. Halifax looks left. Eridu looks right. And you get a sense of how many guards are posted on this like whole kind of section and this like perimeter of the city. and after watching for a little bit, you get it's kind of like in Metal Gear Solid where you got to wait for the guards to like do their whole perimeter, and then you just get the timing
Oh, yeah.
just right when they're both like walking away, and then you're like, now go 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 go, and then yeah, you just get the timing right, and you both go down, and then now you are there.
Nice.
Yeah, so Ace is gonna be right back. And Halifax, from this section of the city, you know how to get to the Temple of Anesti. And you guys do have the tabards, but
Hmm.
is there, and Eridu's probably going to be having the hood over his face. Are you going to try and do a little bit of anything else to try and obscure yourself?
Yes. Let's see, what kind of clothes do I would probably have a hood with my clothes. It doesn't say so.
Come on, every
Um,
every wizard's got a hood. Every wizard has to have a hood.
I will also pull up the hood and try the whole Assassin's Creed, like, you know. Let's just walk together with our hoods up, and maybe we'll just be ignored. But I'll certainly be there ready with this hypnotic gaze thing.
hmm
I keep looking at this instinctive charm thing, and I can't remember what it is.
I've got it
Oh yeah,
pulled up right here.
yeah, it's when someone attacks me, I can make them hit someone else. That's
hmm
it. So that's not applicable. But yeah, I suppose we just go for whatever would be the quickest, maybe not the quickest route. Um, so what seems to be the quietest route, I think, is what
Taking
Halifax.
paths that are less traveled.
hmm
Yeah,
Yeah,
to try and
less
lower the
trafficked.
chances of us.
hmm
Might Eridu suggest sometimes hiding is easiest if you're hiding in plain sight. Instead of finding the least trafficked areas, we might find the most and get ourselves lost among the people who are travel or who are in those streets. It's harder to pick out strange people in a large crowd than it is when they're slinking through back alleys.
hmm Well, that's a very good point. That's a
That
very good point.
is
This is why Eridu is trained in stealth.
true.
Exactly.
Halifax is not.
So it just so happens that where you guys came out on the eastern side of the city, that is relatively close to the big public square, and that is going to be where this big market is taking place.
That's
Pretty
the
much.
square well known for being the place where a very important ambassador was assassinated.
I believe so. I believe so. I can't remember which side on the city it was. Maybe it was in the eastern
I'm pretty
side.
sure it was Eastern because Eastern is Free Kingdom side.
For
And
sure.
I want to say since he was an ambassador from the Free Kingdoms, he probably
hmm
came in from that side.
Yeah. Okay. Well, super chill. So you guys get out into that square where the certain ambassador was killed, and you
As we're walking into that square, Eridu is looking around and saying, I remember. What was the ambassador's name again?
Teladris.
Teladris. I remember when Teladris was assassinated. I was standing just over there.
Hmm. This is a terrifying day, all told. So I hear.
It was definitely quite chaotic. Did you know
Hmm.
that I actually came face to face with those assassins?
Dwarves, weren't they?
They were, yes.
Hmm. Yes, I remember hearing the news. It was several days before we learned of it back in the home city. As fast as the messenger could get to us, we mourned for a good day or so.
Was Teladrius well loved among the people of the capital? I know very little about him.
It certainly depended on who you spoke to, but Teledris had a very popular support.
There were some in the more noble echelons of the city that perhaps didn't enjoy his take on things as often, but by the people, loved enough.
I heard rumor that he worked hard to create relations with the Empire and had wanted to find a common ground between the kingdoms and the Empire, maybe even establish treaties, trade routes, things of those sorts.
Hmm. It is the sort of thing that he prided himself on. But
Interesting.
no longer. Um, in fact, I don't know too much about his successor.
Mm.
Uh,
It just would seem if these are true, and he worked so much to find a of relations between both kingdoms, that wouldn't it be odd for the Empire to want him assassinated?
hmm. I hadn't really given it much thought about the motivation behind it. It's just being considered a tragedy.
From what I understand, it's also often considered something that was planned by the leaders of the Empire. I believe most, at least in the city, from rumors I've heard, believe that the Empire wanted him dead, that they had nefarious intentions with the kingdoms, and I just don't see the benefit of killing someone who is trying to create some level of equality or relations between your kingdoms.
It is certainly known to the populace that equality for all means fewer superior resources to some,
Mm.
as some are seeing equality as a threat to their own supplies of whatever it is that they trade in. Sometimes it's physical goods, sometimes it's political power, uh, sometimes it's just the idea of having more than others, and it's sufficient for them to have this feeling of contentment in their lives. The idea of equality would scare those people. That's other people, other competitors in the market, so to speak.
Such a wrong way to think. I mean, there is enough out there for all of us, isn't there? There is enough to make everyone, to give them a sense of contentment rather than a few trying to hold many of the resources and leaving those who do not have the authority or the power to fend for themselves amongst what's left.
There is an ancient proverb that has been repeated by many a bard in Home City. This ancient proverb speaks of two empires, one weak, the other strong. And forgive me, I'm no bard myself, so I'll butcher the telling of this tale, but the weaker story, the weaker empire in this story was one that pushed its slaves to the limit. They forced inequality upon people to make sure that those few that could push that inequality lived good lives. The larger, stronger empire had such an abundance of resources that everyone lived contentedly. No one had a vast amount of power, certainly not as much as that in the smaller empire, but everyone was happy and healthy. When a disease came, the smaller empire, having the workforce worked to the bone, exhausted, they couldn't survive. The larger empire, with more resources spread equally amongst the valued populace, some did die, yes, but everyone was better and healthier overall, and so the disease couldn't quite grab a hold. The moral of this tale has always been that if you have the power to create equality, that you should do it for the good of yourself and all. Those that have the resources but don't use it to help other people, the populace remains weak, that becomes an unstable foundation. Anything could wipe it out. War, famine, disease. All of these things could wipe out the structure that you built for yourself out of other people. It's something that we, as a culture, have strived to avoid, and yet, in recent centuries, it seems that this disease of greed has seeped in. Some people do want more than others.
Mm. And some people, like Garth, seem never content, and always want to fill themselves with everything that they can reach. Interesting.
Indeed. I've always considered that the sign of strength in an empire is the ability to look after those that are less fortunate, the ability to carry your weak and injured. Shows that you have the strength to do so. If an empire wishes to appear strong, usually they consolidate their resources when really spreading them out would demonstrate that strength much better.
Ah. Oh, it appears we are here.
Oh, yes.
Oh, you guys already made it? Whoa, no way.
Oh my god.
Whoa. All right. Hold on. I mean, I just wanted to tell you guys, like, for real, that was chill. That was super chill. Really, really good role play.
Thank you.
What were you
Take a
saying?
bow.
What were you saying? Oh, yeah, you can take a bow. Yeah. You know, really, really like it. You know, really, I think at this point in the game, it's like we've had so much exposition, so much development with all these like power players and all these like mysterious things and all these like tragedies. So I think the way that you guys started talking about Taladris and just kind of like made it like brought all these other kind of socio-economic elements into it. I think it was awesome. So go ahead and both get some inspiration for
All right.
some really, really super chill role playing opportunities right there.
Oh, that's
I've
great.
forgotten what
Yeah.
that symbol looked like.
Yeah. Haven't
It's like
gotten
the
it in a long
rising
time.
sun. It's
Yeah.
so illuminating.
It's great. It's great.
Um,
So
no, it just occurred to me, like the popped in my head that is sort of the underlining factor of a lot of this game is the idea of social economic states and the way that war changes those things. And also I wanted to tie in some of Taladrius's inspiration into his character. So that's why I kind of talked about
Yeah.
his position as a
Oh,
ambassador.
exactly.
Yeah.
And the way that you guys like described Taladris and kind of took a little bit of license there, totally great and totally appropriate for you
Yeah.
know what like I was trying to get across with that whole character,
Mhm.
whole character
He's-
idea.
He's one of those characters that I like the concept of, but felt like he existed so far as more of a symbol than an actual person. And I wanted to know more about him, so
Oh,
I
yeah.
made it up.
Oh yeah, and that's the way we got to roll with this game is that everyone's got to throw in their own little spice here and then, here or there.
All right, so we are
Alright.
at the.
You are at the
headquarters.
temple of Anesti. You're at the Resistance headquarters, pretty much. You guys did a good job keeping your tabards and your hoods on and taking the more well-traveled streets, being able to blend in with the crowds, and I will say as you gone through the city, you have seen several like military checkpoints, pretty much, where town guards and even more heavily armored like paladin-looking motherfuckers are like kind of like checking people and like processing them as they're coming through. And it's at those times that you were ducking into a little alley here, taking a little shortcut there, but generally you were going with the flow of people to keep yourselves masked.
Cool.
And now you are just going to the back of the Temple of Anesti, where there is that secret little rock that you move that makes the door open, that leads into the super cool underground resistance headquarters. And as soon as you get down there, you walk into what is Emily's little sitting room, and she has a fire built in the hearth, and she's sitting on the plush red chair, and she's got a cup of tea, and her face is just covered in like wrinkles and stress lines, and her eyes are baggy, looks like she just has not slept in a while, and her hair is just messed up, hasn't been washed in a little while. um, she is just looking haggard, absolutely haggard right now. And she sees the two of you walk in, and she quickly puts down her tea and just says, "Thank the gods you're here. What took you so long?"
It was a long and harrowing journey from the Northern Islands, and I needed some time to rest. Um, I found my body stressed to its limits, and that is 100% on me. I'm sorry for making you wait as long as we did.
I mean, it's fine, really. I'm so I'm sorry. I didn't mean to snap at you. I've just been under a lot of stress recently. Where is Egner and where is Theala?
Agner received a vision request mission from his goddess and has gone on a spiritual journey, and he has asked Theala to accompany him as he is blind and does need someone to lead him through the things he cannot see.
I see. Yeah, okay, very convenient. Spiritual journey. Very convenient. Great.
Well, you have us. There are things we can definitely do to aid you.
Very well. Very well. Can you before I talk to you, can you debrief me? Can you tell me what it was like out there on the island?
Yes, a lot happened for sure, but most importantly, I believe we have put a bit of a delay on the secret weapons projects of both the Empire and the Kingdoms.
Hmm.
I think in doing that, we have also put ourselves in the focus of two people who are particularly in high influence on both sides. A Eladrin named Shamiel, and
Sheniel.
Sheniel. I don't know why I keep thinking Samiel. I think,
He wasn't an Eladrin either.
wasn't he?
No, he was in like Azamar type.
Azuma.
Azamar type.
Oh, Azamar. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. I said the wrong thing. As well as one of the Dwarven generals. It could be that, at least for me, Theala and Eridu, Agner, maybe not for Halifax, we are considered criminals on both sides.
I see.
Something that I'm not incredibly unused to, as I've had a target on my back from, uh, what's his face? Whose name I forget now, but I created the character.
Garth?
Garth, yeah.
Yeah.
I've had a target on my back from Garth for quite a while.
Mm-hmm. I see.
If there's anything more, though, he'll kind of explain as well.
For sure. Yeah, we can just assume that Emily gets all of the relevant details.
Mhm.
Yeah. And she listens very intently, picks up her tea again, takes some long sips of the tea, kind of tilts her head back on the chair, closes her eyes, and listens to more details. And then when you finish, opens her eyes and takes a long, deep breath and says, "Very well. I will tell you now what has happened in your absence here in Twin Harbor. It's not good. It's not good. Garth and Orran Vitrell have clamped down on this city tenfold in your absence. You may have seen on your way here, but they're effectively enforcing martial law. They have set up military checkpoints all throughout the city. They are accosting like regular innocent people. They're demanding to see everyone's papers left and right. And if you don't have the proper documentation, you could be thrown in jail for just that or any number of other minor minor offenses. There is a curfew now throughout the city. No one is allowed to be out on the streets past sundown. If you're found, yep, you could be thrown in jail. It's not good, like I said. And and it gets worse. I hate to tell you this, but Garth and Vitrell, somehow they have found a way to identify key members of the resistance. And I don't know how they did it. You remember when Finnegan was here last, he helped us secure this area and make it impervious to divination magic.
Yes, that was a thing that I had negotiated with him.
Somehow they've been able to work around that, or but yeah, I mean, look at this. And she reaches over under this table. I mean, on this table she's got like a huge stack of just papers, and it's very messy. And she takes from the bottom of that stack this large poster, and it is a wanted poster. And on it there are little like pencil sketches of two faces. One of them looks like Emily's face. The other looks like Hilofax's face.
Ah, have they discovered the location of this particular hideout yet?
Well, I mean, if they did, then I would probably be not here, and I would probably be rotting away in a jail somewhere. So I can't exactly say that we are safe here, but for the moment, we're safe here.
This is utterly horrendous. It didn't get my nose right at all. Look at that.
Yes, yeah, and they've got my eyes completely wrong, Hilofax. Look, it's
Oh yes,
this
it looks
is
horribly beady there. Oh.
Hilofax, please. I need you to be somewhat serious right now. This is serious. I I've been able to sneak around a little bit and witness Vitrell's activities around the city. He has been on a tear. He has been holding public rallies all over the city, trying to whip everyone up into a fervor. He's blaming us, the resistance. He's blaming us for everything awful that's happened in this city, especially, namely, for the Blue Plague.
But that was nothing to do with us.
Well, that's the point. It had absolutely nothing to do with this, but it doesn't matter as far as Vitrell is concerned, and as far as the rest of the people in the city. They're looking for someone to blame. So many people have had their lives ruined and their family members' lives ruined by that drug. And I don't know where it came from. I don't know who actually is responsible for this, but as far as Vitrell is concerned, it's our fault. And so it's falling on us. There is, and she holds up the wanted poster again, and it lists this whole kind of thing at the bottom that says it promises like 500 gold pieces for the capture of any member of the resistance, dead or alive.
My real concern is why are they doing this? What do they have to gain?
Well,
I mean, is it really just the control of a city standing on the border of two nations?
I unfortunately don't have the time or the energy to make conjectures about why they're doing this or what is the purpose of it all. Eridu, this is survival.
I'm aware of that. My reasoning is if we can discover why, then maybe we can learn how to stop them.
Perhaps that is something we can do for you, Emily.
Oh,
We came into possession of these tabards that have thus far reduced our accostations in the street. We're left largely alone. We could go out and reconnoiter the city, see if there's any information that we can gather that might be of use.
well, actually, Hilofax, I have made a plan. I and it's all thanks to you, really. And this is where Hilofax will remember what he was doing the whole time during the last episode. So essentially, Hilofax was already doing all sorts of reconnaissance and using his magical abilities to try and like identify certain points within the city that that Garth and Vitrell and their whole the town guards, he's been identifying all the points where they've been like, either having checkpoints or either having like armory stores or like this, that, or the other thing. So
Hmm.
so Hilofax submitted this whole like report to Emily with all this different information and everything. And one thing that Hilofax uncovered that is a very like interesting thing is that there's a tower in the city. It's called Rook's Tower, and like the chess piece, just like the chess piece, the rook. So it's called Rook's Tower, and Rook's Tower was something that was originally built for just like the storage of like grain. It was just like a big old grain silo at some point, and
Hmm.
then it got converted into a building that was used for more like official kind of like stuff. Like all sorts of people had offices in there that were like city administrators or this, that, or the other thing. And Hilofax has recently uncovered that Rook's Tower has been converted into a magical surveillance center. He has observed all sorts of wizards going in and out of that place. It's like Hilofax knows what a fucking wizard looks like.
Hmm.
Hilofax has scanned the whole thing from the outside using detect magic and stuff like that, and has identified several like divination energies and fields coming out from that tower. So Emily's bringing all that up, talks about Rook's Tower, talks about like all this kind of stuff, and then she goes on to say, "Gentlemen, we are in danger, and we need to take desperate measures to ensure the survival of the resistance." Hilofax, you told me about Rook's Tower.
Hmm.
That's how they're watching us. Rook's Tower are their eyes. The people in there, that's their eyes. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to gouge their fucking eyes out.
Hmm.
Yes, I think this is a brilliant idea.
I agree.
I'm glad you agree. So at this, Emily says, "Come with me. Come with me." And she takes you into the other room. This is the room. It's kind of like it's like the dining room ish area. This is the room where like Zarkon was like standing for a long time in this like powered down state.
Hmm.
There's still the teleportation circle that Finnegan made in the corner. That's just kind of like in this really awkward spot, but he really needed a teleportation circle there. So she takes you here, and then on the table there are several large like bags. They look like canvas bags, almost like a sandbag, but like sandbags are huge. These are more like kind of handheld, kind of like this big or whatever. But they're tightly packed canvas bags with white on them. And then Emily picks one up and you can kind of see the heft of it, and she turns it over, and there is a intricate looking design on top of this one. And Halifax can go ahead and make an Arcana check.
Nice. Uh, ooh. 14 plus 9. So that's 23.
Wow. Okay, so Halifax, you're not just looking at the one that's in her hands, but you're looking at the rest of them right there. So
Hmm.
they're kind of like done up in these bundles. Like the one she's holding, it looks like it goes into a pack of like three of them that go together, and there's
Hmm.
like there's like 9 bags in total. There's like three sets of three strapped together, but then this one's like more kind of like freestanding, so she can like show you, and you instantly recognize the design on the front as one of Finnegan's explosive runes. Yeah. And she goes on to say, Finnegan helped me put together these explosives. We're going to blow up the tower.
Um, did Finnegan leave any instructions on the best way to use those? Such as, can we simply place them at the base of the outside of the building, or do they need to be placed inside?
He said that they would be plenty damn powerful is the words that he used. I
Hmm.
I think that it could work just fine with them being placed on the outside of the tower, but the paranoid person in me wouldn't want to botch the job, and
No,
I
indeed.
would I would want to put them on the inside just to be sure. If we're gonna
If
do this, we have to do it right.
Yes, if there's any way that they could have worked to fortify their defenses, they could make. Yeah, they could find a way of potentially making the outside impervious to things like this.
It's
I agree.
entirely possible.
I would say that most of the difficulty will be in even getting there with these. So once we arrive there, working our way inside the building wouldn't necessarily be an added risk. It'll just take a little longer.
Yes.
We may as well.
About that part of it,
Mm.
I I need you two, and perhaps Egner and Theala if they manage to come back at any point, or I don't know. I need you two to carry out this mission. I need to trust you with the delivery and the execution of this part of the plan. But you will not be able to succeed on your own because they are watching. They're watching this entire city. And specifically, they are watching me and they are watching you. And she looks at Halifax. So, in order for you to succeed in gouging their eyes out, I need them to look at me and not at you. They can't be looking under their noses. So, my part of the plan, and she takes out a scroll. She takes out a scroll, another little present from Finnegan that should be able to help me if I get into a pinch. My plan is go to the square where Akram died.
Emily.
and I'm going to raise hell. Raise all sorts of hell. And get their attention and get them pissed. So pissed that they have no idea what's about to really hit them.
I can't say I approve of this part of the plan. Emily, surely there must be some other way to attract their attention. A simple fight in the streets. Myself and Theala successfully executed such a distraction.
It's not going to be enough. Halifax, you have no idea how closely they're going to be watching everything. I need to get not just their attention, whomever is going to be working in Rook's Tower at that time, not just their attention. I need to get Vitrell's attention and Garth's attention.
Yes.
And I need to do something big.
When you pull the eye, you pull the rest of the body.
Very true.
Emily, I believe you've given this much thought, and I believe you know the risks inherent, and nothing that we say or do can make them any more apparent to you. I believe you know the danger, and have chosen to accept it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if I was in your place, I would be making the same choice, so I understand. You do what you need to do. This seems as good a plan as we can muster at the time. We will do our part, won't we, Halifax?
As much as it bothers me that I cannot see a way out of this situation, I will go along with it.
There is plenty we could do to create a situation that gives all the advantages in the world for us to win. But time is not on our side, and if we look for perfection, we will only find ourselves indulging in inaction.
I couldn't agree more.
I agree with you, Halifax. I also do not like this, but we're taking out the rook. Sometimes we must put our queen in danger.
And don't forget, the queen is the most powerful piece.
And all of this is just a setup for the checkmate. Otherwise, it would not be worth it.
But who coordinates the checkmate?
Well,
Emily, you've been our leader, our guide in all of this.
Look, Halifax, I won't be alone. and she holds up the scroll again. I've got a little help from my friends.
Well, I suppose we all have our duties. Let's get about them.
Yes, let's... Look, we're all tired. And in order for any of this to work, we need to have our wits about us. So
Yes.
while we're still safe for the moment, let's get some rest. Plan a little bit more. We'll do this tomorrow.
I agree.
Well, I'm going to have a little more tea. You all know where your rooms are. Good night.
Good night, Emily.
She
Good night,
takes her
milady.
tea, gets a little more out of the pot, and then scarps off to her room.
Do you know what kind of tea it is?
Herbal.
A Nez tea.
A Nez tea. Ah!
You've been
It's
sitting on that joke since you put it in chat.
Yeah, I didn't even see that one. That's great. A Nez tea. That's hilarious. Oh, I see it now. A cup of puts on sunglasses. A Nez tea. All right. So
Oh.
so y'all's characters have a second to like talk it out, but in general it's like I'm looking to you guys just taking a long rest and capping the session right there and
Yeah, I was gonna ask if
yeah.
this is where we're gonna end. It looks like we're gonna end a little early. We didn't take a midway break.
Mhm.
Um, we, as Kyle, as you already prefaced, there's a lot going on.
Mhm.
And we are down a Josh. We don't want
Mhm.
to delve into a situation which would not make it possible for him to join back in.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly. Yeah. I don't want to get moving too far and have it awkward for Fiala to come back into the situation. Yeah.
we could take some time for Eridu and Halifax to discuss the current plan and see if there's any ways they could uh, find a way to make it a little less, mitigate the risk a little bit.
Hmm.
Yeah, however you feel.
Yeah.
However you feel.
I do
Um,
feel that on Halifax's part, there's that definite concern of risk. Eridu is a little more accepting of it, but he also.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I was just gonna kind of mention this little bit. Eridu, since Eridu has more familiarity with the areas of Twin Harbor and has spent time, like looking at maps and all sorts of stuff. The area that Rook's Tower is in, because it started off as being just like this grain silo, essentially. It is
Yeah.
smack dab in the middle of the like most like residential area. It's
Oh.
like not in the military quarter. It's not right next to like this big old keep where Garth actually hangs out or whatever. It's like smack dab in the middle of a neighborhood, pretty
Yeah.
much.
So that's something I'd bring to Halifax and just
Mm-hmm.
I'd start pulling through some of the maps that Emily has laid before us and go. "Hmm, I thought I recognized the name Rook's Tower. Do you see this neighborhood? It looks as though they're attempting to shield themselves with civilians. Put a very heavily military centric structure in the midst of a neighborhood.
hmm.
It's going to be difficult to not have casualties along the way because this tower's collapse could cost lives of innocents, and we should be looking to find a way to mitigate that as best as possible.
Indeed. An evacuation is an option, but a difficult one to execute.
Yes, especially when we are not the ones with authority to execute that. Do you think we could spread misinformation that would lead the guards to believe that this area is holding up members of the resistance? I know it would be harsh, but better to have some of these citizens in jail when this tower falls than under its rubble.
I could certainly see my way to swaying a guard official. Should that perhaps be our first task? Something to do early in the morning before we set about infiltrating the tower, finding an officer of the guard to manipulate and get them to arrest people or simply move them out of their homes.
That might even be something to start doing now, as the more time they have to um, process these individuals, the more likelihood that there'll be less people in the area.
Mm, indeed. I think I know just the spell as well.
What other concerns might you have? Something that we can do something about?
Hmm. Well, I do have some concerns about Emily's safety. She's rather vague about what she's going to do. We
Yes.
have no idea what sort of backup she'll have or any sort of allies she'll be taking with her.
That was another part that I wanted to mention. I was just like looking at my notes and I forgot that I wrote this down. I was intending to have Emily backed up by members of the Tranquility.
Oh, okay. And that's something that we are aware of now.
Yeah, I just forgot to say it earlier, but I'm like
Okay.
retroactively saying that she said that.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. It was rather odd that the crew of the Tranquility was stood there in utter silence. I'd almost forgotten they were there.
No, I mean they weren't there, but they,
She had let
they
us know,
but,
yeah.
but she was like, yeah, they're gonna help. I think, yeah.
And they've been absent this whole time, the Tranquility crew. So
Mm-hmm.
it's more of a he was asking Halifax as a clarifying question,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that there's very little we can do for Emily aside from if you have any magical protections to give to her. But she knows the risk. She understands, and she is a willing part of this resistance. My concern is for those who are not. I would not want someone who didn't ask for this trouble to be caught in its wake.
Absolutely. Spying on all of the citizens as well. It's not something that they signed up for in the first place. That's not what Twin Harbours is.
It is not, yes. This is not the town that I love. So,
Yes. So that's what we shall set about doing. Emily seems to be looking after herself. In the morning, we shall coordinate with her when she plans on setting off her distraction. Meanwhile, we shall endeavor to sway a guard into helping us evacuate the place. I recently learned of my abilities to manipulate the mind. They have room for expansion. I learned in one of the libraries that there is a spell that makes use of my abilities to simply charm a person, and I can extend the length of that and increase the torment that one might feel when trying to resist it. Essentially, I can impart a quest on someone. They would be hurt any time they try to resist it.
Geese.
I could
Or it's gas.
lay this
My bad.
geese gas.
It's geese gas.
I don't like I know the correct pronunciation is gas, but I don't like that because it sounds like you're saying just like gas. You know,
Just
which-
gas.
sounds like you're farting on somebody.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry, I forget that you guys now call it freedom gas or whatever.
That's my freedom. Napkin.
But yes, that spell, I could cast it on some guard captain or sergeant or something, and tell him to round up the citizenry around the tower. Don't tell anyone why you're doing it or what your mission is. But try to do it in a convincing way, and after 2 days, return them to that area.
That is a clever idea. That will work much better than having them imprisoned, because the next step would, of course, been to free these people with whom we had gotten intentionally imprisoned. But if your spell will bring someone to do all this for us with very little ramifications for us, and for the people, the citizens who are not involved in this war, this battle.
Yeah.
Well,
So it's a possibility. He would know what I've done afterwards. That's the thing.
Well, you're already a target, are you not? It's not like you can
Very true.
make yourself any bigger of a threat than you already are, really.
True.
Alright,
Yeah, I think that's the concerns addressed.
Yeah, that's all right. Sounds like I've got
that sounds
some
pretty solid, yeah.
good information to work off of, and yeah, I think we can go ahead and cut it there. Just to say again, I won't be able to do this next week. Maybe we'll just go ahead and take a little week off. Give everyone a little break from the thingamabob, and I'll
We'll
be
find a thing for
I'll
sure.
be fixing to come back with the second session of the 10th episode called Minutes to Midnight, dungeon mastered by myself, Kyle,
Mhm.
and that's the plan. Week after next, please join us for a little more roll for mischief kind of times.
All
And
right.
yeah,
Thank you for joining us.
thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you for joining us.
Y'all have a good one.
We will let y'all know what's happening next week. But aside from that, see ya.
See ya.
Bye.